In fact, that's the weird thing that you can see he's the nice guy because even his ex-wife, they're still friends and she's giving advice. Oh, you need to see somebody. And he goes, oh, what? Like a therapist? I said, no, like a woman. Go out and date again. And then he makes another remark and he says, okay, yeah, now go see a woman and see a therapist.
Hello. Welcome to What the Flicks podcast, episode 72. My name's Susan Ayers.
Patty Smith.
Lon Shima.
Jorge Sanchez.
Bob Nick Shields.
We're back next week.
Here we go.
We're back to the future.
Hello again. And welcome. This week, we'll be starting with Lon.
Okay, yes. I chose The Hitman. This was directed by Richard Linklater and written by Richard Linklater and Glen Powell. Based on a magazine article, oddly enough. The oddest thing was, and I don't know why they did this, but it was actually in Texas, but they have set the movie in New Orleans for whatever reason. But according to things that I've read, basically the setup is about this sort of, how would you put it? This nerdy little professor at the university who I guess is a psychology, philosophy kind of professor is hired by the police department to go undercover and sort of solicit, how would I put it, clients. And he's portraying a hitman or a killer. And this is basically, I wouldn't call it entrapment, but it's basically sort of preventing.
It's entrapment. It's literally entrapment.
But what I think is interesting is the fact that I found this movie sort of odd because I thought it should have been one movie or the other. Anyway, Glen Powell plays this mild-mannered kind of professor, gets hired. Well, for some reason, their normal person who would do this in the department has fallen out of favor due to his
Extra.
well, his exactly
tendencies?
the fact that he's not quite what the police department should have.
He's too enthusiastic.
Yeah.
And aggressive and beats up teenagers basically on camera, which is what I love about these things today now. So they hire him, and then he's always done it, but so he has to fill in. But then they find out that no, he's really good because as a psychology professor, he decides that he's going to approach it that way. So for each client, he does his research, and then what he does is, I'm going to sort of, how do you put it, make my character that when I meet them, I'm going to really sort of
Get into it.
exactly for this particular person, whether it's a man, woman, he just figures, I have to be different, and
Like,
I'm going to try and
be
get
empathetic
things.
with them. You get to create
Exactly, that somehow there's some kind of relationship when he becomes this character that they will sort of like be easier to they would confess, or I shouldn't say confess, basically say, oh yes, here's the money, I want you to kill this person. That's all they're looking for as he's wired. So this goes on, and it's sort of, I thought it was interesting enough because Glen Powell actually playing different characters. I thought, okay, this is sort of fun, at least. Then, of course, he meets the woman, who obviously he's attracted to. And then all of a sudden it's like, okay, this is a game changer. Because he literally tells the woman, instead of using the money to kill this, why don't you do something else, blah, blah, blah. So it's sort of interesting how this movie goes along because I personally just thought, I'm not getting into this because I thought it should have been him in this movie or make it a romantic comedy. Halfway through the movie, that's when the romantic comedy part starts. And it's like, okay, you've lost me now because now you switch gears in a way.
Right.
But it sort of makes sense. I get why they're doing it. But it's still, and Richard Linklater is one of these directors, when he did his earlier films, I really did sort of admire him. He did Slacker, then he did Dazed and Confused. But then after that, it's like, I'm not quite getting what he likes to do, with the exception of the psychological part. He loves dialogue between two people. So the stuff that he talks about towards the second part of the movie, it's like, okay, now that's to me like a Richard Linklater movie. but it's like I'm not getting into this movie, and I'm sure Glen Powell, as a co-writer, sort of wanted to show certain aspects of this character that he wanted to do. But it's for me, it's entertaining enough. I will say this. Like I said, I watched it because it was number one on Netflix. And I didn't hear anything about it. I just chose it right away. Then I go to Rotten Tomatoes. I didn't really care much for it, but let me see what they say. And then all of a sudden, Rotten Tomatoes, they have it like 95 from critics.
You should know right
and
then.
91 audience.
You should know right then it's not going to be that good.
Well, no, I usually if it's both audience and critics, that's mean people are really enjoying this and commenting it. But my thing is like I didn't find it as entertaining as everyone else did. So my thing is like it is a fun enough movie. I can say that for a fact. I thought, what's going on, this and that. I'm not going to fault any of the performers. I think in fact, I think Glen Powell actually is very good in this movie, playing all these characters, doing what he's doing, and sort of manipulating, his character into doing certain things that is actually reflecting what he's lecturing on in his classes.
Right.
So in a way, I said, what, at least they're trying to be sort of clever with this. But I have to admit, I was not really, it's my movie, and I was not really blown away by
I
this.
hate that movie.
So I would say, it's a fun movie to watch, see it, because I'm sure a lot of people are watching this, but, I was not very crazy about it.
George?
Yeah, for me, I felt that they missed the boat on a brilliant idea. The whole concept
Yeah.
was just brilliant because it has two things. He's a psychology professor, and he's talking about the personalities and relationships and all that, and he has and more like we're sort of thinking, can we become something else? Can we really be, or are we still the same? They really delve into that part of it, and he gets a chance to do that and see if and it becomes something else. So I thought that's such a great idea, that the whole angle of it. Like you said, at first it felt like it was different movies. Like first it was like I actually thought it was gonna go into a really interesting place where I thought that the girl's husband was gonna be some serious like mafia guy or
Gangster.
I
right?
thought she was a hitwoman.
and then he's gonna
Yeah.
come back after him,
Right.
And he's gonna save the day, like.
Right.
But what I was gonna say,
And
about
that actually would have been a better
Yeah.
movie in my opinion.
yeah, and then he would have become the character, So, but this movie reminds me like, I know it's Netflix every once in a while releases movies that they call them, they're very Netflix movies, like the one with the Something Six, and then with Brian.
Oh, Undercover Six.
Undercover Six.
Yeah.
Or the one with the Rock and Wonder Woman and Ryan, the other Ryan. I think it was called Red
Ryan
something.
Reynolds?
Yeah.
Ryan Reynolds. Read something. These are movies that they're Netflix movies because you have really big stars, but they're almost like B movies. They're just not quite there.
Right.
They always have great potential, and they always just fall flat right away at the
Right.
end. So, I mean,
No, out of curiosity, do you think this movie fell flat at the end?
yeah, I was expecting a different ending. I thought would have been better
Okay.
than what they gave
Interesting.
me. But Glen Powell, I thought was great too. And I mean, I remember seeing him in the Hidden Figures. That's the first time I saw him. He was playing.
Right.
And I
John
go,
Glenn.
Yeah, I mean, I go, well, that guy, he looks like he's gonna be a big size. Like
Yeah.
Tom Cruise, he's kind of good looking. He's got a future, that young man. But then he was Maverick. He was the ass one.
Exactly.
So
And now he's coming out. We were talking about this Twister. The Twisters.
yeah, so maybe
Twisters.
they're
yeah.
probably slowly pushing his career too.
Yeah.
And this movie did to me show that he's a pretty good actor because he did play interesting characters. Like he
Yeah.
plays that guy with the wig and his teeth, and he plays something. He's just, I think as an actor, it was a great role because you really get a chance to play all these different characters.
Exactly.
So I like his character. But aside from that, it's just I was enjoying it up until a point. Then it's like started going, oh, it's going down.
Yeah.
But so I'm kind of like, okay, yeah, that's what I feel about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bob,
This was, I think, about the longest lead time we've had in terms of when we knew what we were going to be reviewing before we actually shot it today.
Really?
Because it was
Yes.
like several weeks.
It was like a month.
And like early on, I said, well, okay, the Hitman, Richard Linklater, I'll watch that one, And if you had given me a list of directors, and say, guess which one of these people directed it, I would have crossed off Richard Linklater right away. Because I said, there's nothing about Richard Linklater that I could see in this movie. I found this guy Glen Powell to be basically non-existent. I mean, I don't even remember who the female lead is. I had to have when we were driving over here. I had to have Lon tell me what this movie was about again because I had completely forgotten it. And even now, when we're talking about it, I don't remember this movie.
That tells you something, baby.
That tells you a lot.
Yeah, about me and about the movie.
No, it
No.
doesn't.
It's just,
just
I mean,
about-
it's just not. There's no there.
Right.
That's it.
Okay.
So,
So, okay, I hate to always go,
I told you so.
well, no, I'm always got a problem with the female characters. And I was saying to George,
Yeah.
I was saying to George that maybe because a lot of these are written by men, like I'll do it the other way around too. Like,
Right.
and Rice.
Anne Rice.
Yes, she writes a lot of male lead characters. They're vampires, right? But they're also effeminate.
Effeminate. Very
You know what I mean? It's like that. And,
Outlander. Who wrote this stuff?
yeah, it's a woman writer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like these guys are just so feminine, and the women are so aggressive that I find it almost off-putting. And I'm not a prude, right? I just find it kind of off-putting. I thought she was going to. Like him, I had at the end, I was like, okay, maybe this is going to be. From the moment she sat down the first time.
Okay, when
I'm-
you say she, are you talking about the
well, the first
Adria
time-
Arjona,
Arjona,
the
yeah.
Madison
Madison,
figure? Okay.
The first time she sat down and, propositioned him to kill her husband, I was like, oh, she's setting him up.
yeah.
No. I actually thought the same thing. I will say that. I did think the same thing.
Because she was manipulative from the
Get-go.
Yes.
Yes.
She was like, but in a very aggressive way. Not in a. Women are a little more subtle than that generally. Do you know what I mean? She was very. I didn't like her. It was like, and then both he and I, at the end of it, the ending, it was like we had two better endings. I was like, my ending.
Yeah, we're discussing our different endings. They're pretty good, actually.
Yeah, I thought she was gonna go off with that. She was gonna get it, and go, right. And it's also like, how come it's okay? These people, what they did, right? What they did, but I'm supposed to go. Oh, how did you and mommy meet? It's like these people are disgusting. It was
Yes,
like,
I see. That's what I agree.
You know what I mean?
I totally
It's like-
agree. Yeah.
Just keep actors away from computers. Don't let them write anything.
I was
No,
like,
I disagree with that. So.
it was.
I think it's a joke.
It was. So it's not that I thought it was bad mood. Very entertaining.
Yeah, what's the thing?
It was very entertaining. And if I take it just for like a B movie, like one of my favorite big movies is 10 Things I Hate About You or something like that.
Oh, really?
It-
You
I
like-
loved- I
Wasn't that
loved it.
Shakespeare?
Well,
I
he's,
think it's a
Shakespeare,
Shakespeare.
yeah.
Taming of the Shrew or something like that.
Yes, that's exactly
Yeah.
what it was.
well, yeah, okay. But all right.
Anyway.
Deep. But so I just thought it was like, in a sense, unpredictable because
Very much so. Yeah.
who expected that ending? And then
Who remembers that ending?
I remember it
Oh, I
because
remember it
it was a
because it's-
I don't have a
shocker.
clue.
For
It
me
was like,
personally,
I'm-
I can honestly say I did not like the ending. So
I did
Yeah.
not like the ending
Yeah.
either.
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
like, am I supposed to be happy for these people? And they're
Well,
too,
I don't want to give away to the audience, but I just
I
Yeah.
mean,
I think we almost should, but
so that's kind of where
Yeah.
I was. I was like, I was saying, it's like your movie, Mississippi Burning. It's like I wouldn't go, oh, that was such a great movie. It was so entertaining. It was like so emotionally stressful.
What, this
right?
movie?
No,
your
Mississippi
movie.
Burning.
Mississippi Burning.
Mississippi
Last time.
Burning.
Yeah.
Last time. But so
That's
Episode
just such a good
71.
movie.
so it's funny, but is it really funny? I mean, this one, because these people are so.
well, it's a seedy world. Yes,
Oh.
exactly.
Okay. Oh, you finished? I'm sorry. So I thought they should have made a decision at the beginning. Is this going to be a comedy or a drama? And I
Exactly,
had two
yeah.
great ideas too. And it just went on and on and on. I mean, how many costumes do we have to see him in? It's like there was no real substance. And it dragged on in the middle for a long time. if it was going to be a comedy, they could have made it so funny, and if it was a drama, they could have really made it dramatic. But they didn't do either. They kind of rode the fence. It was like, ha, love affair, blah blah blah, right? And the guy who played, what's his name?
Glen Powell.
He played the part. It's great, but he does it so quietly you don't really notice it. Everything seemed to be vanilla, and I mean that in the sense of
Yes.
there was no big ups, no big downs. It was boring. I'm sorry, I found it really boring.
I thought the funniest line in that was like, because he's kind of this nerdy teacher. He has is in a kind of a university class, so everybody's sitting up there, and he's like a nerdy guy. And as he's kind of getting into this ulterior,
Playing different characters, right?
Was one,
he's getting
and
into
then
his
he's being the
job.
one
He's
character.
And then getting into the right.
It's right.
Yeah.
But getting into his job, two of his students are sitting there, right?
Yes,
and
exactly.
the funniest line in the whole thing,
Yes.
and they're like, she's like, is he getting hot?
Right. When did our professor get hot?
Yeah.
Yes, I thoroughly agree. That really was the funniest thing.
So, folks, you've now heard the funniest line in the movie. You don't have to go see it.
well, and that the thing is, but
I didn't deliver it very well. She delivered
But
it. very
is
good.
it actually that funny?
It's not
See, that's
funny.
the funny
It was
thing.
funny
you know?
because it was that's
because
what I'm
nothing
saying.
else was.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Well, it's kind of like I was saying. It's kind of like porn. It's like,
What?
should I be enjoying this comedy? It's like I don't know that I should be laughing at this point because they're so horrible people.
Which two? The couple?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well,
But I
but,
understand what you mean.
to be fair, they were both horrible people without being a couple.
yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I wish they had
Well,
been a couple
obviously.
see,
more.
that's what I disagree because Glen Powell's character is not horrible because that's
just-
the what. In fact, that's the weird thing that you can see he's the nice guy because even his ex-wife, they're still friends, and she's giving advice. Oh, you need to see somebody, and he goes, "Oh, what? Like a therapist?" I said, "No, like a woman. Go out and date again." And then he makes another remark, and he says, "Okay, yeah, now go see a woman and see a therapist." And that's sort of how I felt that there's something wrong with this movie because of that. Yeah.
Yeah. So okay, so
I'm dying to know what your score is.
you
No, George.
oh yeah.
Oh, we're done with it. Yeah, so I'll give it a 5.
Okay, so
Okay, I give it
George already went because I passed after George.
no,
it's his movie.
5, right?
Well, hold on. Let me.
Yeah.
I'll give it a 3. No, I'll give it a 5. I still enjoy that. It's entertaining.
I'll give it a 6.
I'll give it a 6.
I gave it a 5. That's fine.
Of course you did. There's no
Okay.
other number in
So
there.
we'll be back.
Okay, we'll be back. See you next week.